Hello, Angel. Today I'm revealing how I went from masculine, overworked, exhausted workhorse to the calm, relaxed, abundant feminine goddess that I am today. Specifically, I'll be sharing how I went from being someone who is in a corporate job, overworked, invisible, underpaid, stressing out, frantically checking emails, always paranoid that I'm going to be fired from my job, never allowing myself to relax, always thinking I'm not pushing hard enough, I'm not doing enough, I'm not achieving enough, to now running my own business for over 3 years in a successful and profitable way, and most importantly, in a way that is fulfilling, is aligned with my purpose and my unique gifts that God has given me, and that allows me to have this goddess feminine lifestyle where I have time to take care of myself. I go on my leisurely walks. I can go to Pilates in the middle of the day. And I'm not so exhausted and burnt out where I don't have time to cultivate relationships, to cultivate other passions, to cultivate hobbies, to spend time with my husband. But before I reveal to you how I was able to do that, let me tell you a story and really paint the picture of where I used to be. Okay, so imagine I'm in my corporate office. My boss wants to talk to me. He's in New York, I'm in Connecticut. I get on the phone. I think it's good news. I've been waiting for this promotion for years. I've been working so hard. I've been doing everything they told me. They gave me feedback. They said be more visible. I became more visible. I was like, it's gonna happen. I'm gonna get this promotion. I get on the intercom with him and he goes, Anna, I'm sorry, but we just don't have the budget to promote you. And I broke down. I know they say you're not supposed to cry at work, but I was so frustrated, so exhausted. I was working so hard that my PCOS was at its peak. If you don't know what PCOS is, it's basically hell on earth for women. I would not wish it to my enemies. It's called polycystic ovarian syndrome, and it's a huge hormonal imbalance, blood sugar dysregulation. It impacts your mental health. So to give you the picture, my hair was falling out, I had acne, my period pain was debilitating, and I had fatigue and brain fog, and it made anxiety worse. I was usually depressed on the weekends when I should have been happy, free, and having fun. It really sucked the life out of me and was so painful, and I felt like it was preventing me from living the life I was meant to be living. So as I'm on the phone with him and he delivers this news, I just felt like I have no more options left. Like I'm doing everything I can. I'm pushing myself so hard to the point where my body is pumping testosterone to try to keep up with my drive and my ambition, and I keep hitting a wall. This was several times that they had dangled the carrot in front of me and told me I would get promoted, and then I don't. There's no budget, but then I saw mediocre Bob, mediocre Sally getting promoted over me. And the truth is, I was a workhorse. Okay, I was raised in an immigrant family, and so there was, from a young age, work ethic was the primary thing that was instilled in me. I was taught that I have to outwork everyone else. I vividly remember my mom telling me about other children out there who are working really hard and that they're outworking me. Every minute I'm not studying, doing homework, getting better, they are getting better than me. And the gap between me and them is getting wider. So I just remember living with so much fear and panic and always feeling terrified, like that I will never catch up because I already felt behind. I already felt not enough. And these early childhood experience fueled, how I performed in college. I remember when I almost had a nervous breakdown when I got an A- in one class, art history. Still butthurt about that. And then the same pattern started to happen, obviously, in the corporate world too, where I was doing the most in return for the least. And what I learned was that when you are a workhorse, the horse keeps getting more work added to that wagon, right? Nobody says, "Oh my God, poor workhorse. Let's pet it, let's feed it, let's give it water, let's give it a beautiful outfit." No, you beat the workhorse and you go faster, more, climb up the hill. And so that what was happening to me, and it was extremely stressful. It made me not a great wife because I was constantly feeling like something was stolen from me, like the success was stolen from me. And I was also feeling helpless because I'm already doing everything and it's not working. So that once again proves that I am flawed, proves that I'm not smart enough, not good enough. And all my insecurities were out to play during this time period of my life. So let me tell you about my rock bottom because the rock bottom was what allowed me to spring up. That's why I don't shy away from downs. I don't shy away from crises. I always say chaos is fertile ground for your biggest success, your greatest happiness. And that's exactly what happened to me. Not overnight, but let me tell you what happened. So I was in this dark night of the soul, once again, got snubbed at work despite being a high performer, despite doing the job of at least three people. And in this dark night of the soul, I thought I couldn't get lower. And then I got even lower when I realized, Anna, no one was holding a gun to your head. No one forced you to give so much to this job that was clearly abusing you, taking advantage of you, and lying to you. There's no budget. That was a lie. Because we found out later, because once I left them, they were throwing money at me. But back to my dark night of the soul, I realized that Taylor Swift, hi, it's me. I'm the problem, it's me. Before that song came out, like I had that realization. I was like, I am in this position. I put myself in this position and I kept myself in this position and I tolerated this abuse, this lack of valuing me, this lack of rewards for my huge efforts, huge work, huge results that I delivered, all the money I made for that company. I continued to stay when time and time again they scammed me. And this was really painful to admit because for a long time I was angry. I was angry at my company. I was angry at my bosses. I was angry at the world. But it was so painful to realize, no, I actually put myself in this position and I kept myself in this position. So in that pain of realizing like, Anna, nobody held a gun to your head, like you chose this by not changing or leaving. I asked myself, Anna, why? Why are we suffering so much? Why are we in so much pain? Why are we literally killing ourselves for a job that won't even give us a couple extra $1,000 a year, pennies compared to what I was producing for them? And then it hit me, and this made me feel even worse again. I realized I had low self-worth. I had low self-esteem. That was the only explanation that could explain why I stayed. And that hurt so much because I considered myself a confident person. I considered myself an ambitious person, an alpha. No, the evidence showed that I was a workhorse, I was a slave, I was a worker bee. I was not a queen bee. I wasn't acting like a queen. I was acting like a peasant, and they were treating me like a peasant. I'm not saying this to excuse workplace abuse, and I'm not saying this to put the full blame on us, because especially if you are first gen or a daughter of immigrants like me, you learn that hard work is the key to your success and happiness. You learn from a young age to value yourself based on your productivity and your achievements. I was just following the plan. But let me tell you, the plan was a scam. It didn't work. The plan only gets you so far, and it ultimately keeps you stuck in that peasant, low self-worth energy, which doesn't create better opportunities, more money, etc. And so I don't want to blame ourselves. However, there is so much power in taking accountability. And that is step one of what I did to go from exhausted, burnt out, masculine machine workhorse to the goddess that you see today, the goddess that doesn't take no shit, the goddess who even has the audacity to not accept certain clients or even let go of certain clients or, tell people, give them a refund and say, hey, due to your behavior, you will no longer be allowed in this intimate group setting where other women are amazing and treating each other with compassion. If you're an asshole, you're out. I don't care about the money. It's a standard that I'm upholding, and that started with myself, a standard for how I treat myself and how I carry myself, how my external world is a reflection of my internal self-worth. So step one was taking radical responsibility for my circumstances. It's not easy and it's so painful. Like I said, when I realized my boss never held a gun to my head, no one forced me to stay here. I'm the one that spent 3 years here without a promotion, despite being what I believe was the best person in that level type of role, despite being an incredible researcher, analyst, storyteller, and presenter, despite bringing so much to the table and being so passionate about my work. I realized it was me and my self-worth, and I had to painfully take that responsibility because we cannot control others, we cannot control the world, we cannot control your boss, we cannot control your company, we cannot control the economy, we cannot control your industry. We can only control ourselves. And that is how, step one, we take our power back because the workhorse, masculine, machine type of character that a lot of high achieving women are pushed towards with toxic hustle culture, societal expectations, cultural expectations. That is very disempowering. We are disempowered and we are taught to follow an external definition of success. We are taught to bulldoze over our human needs and our human emotions. We are taught to basically sacrifice our preferences, our needs, our desires. I was literally hanging on a thread physically from the hormonal imbalance that was created in my body from that stress, from being in constant overdrive. And I was very disempowered. Like I said, I felt helpless because I was already doing everything I thought I could, which was mostly push, masculine energy. Spoiler alert, that is not what got me promoted. After this dark night of the soul, within 1 year, I got promoted several times, doubled my salary, left that place, and ended up being the head of the office at the office where I had started my career as an intern 9 years prior. Okay, so it was a huge Cinderella corporate story for me. And it started with me taking back my power by taking radical responsibility for my circumstances, for my results. Yes, there are so many factors, but I knew the only factor I could control was me, and I decided to go all in on that. And I knew that the best way I could change my life, change my circumstances, and as a result, change my financial situation, change my health, change my relationship with myself was to take that radical responsibility. That is step one. And very quickly, to add to step one, I also had to take radical responsibility for my patterns, right? My tendencies, my MO. So even though I saw where a lot of this came from survival mode, from my childhood, I still had to take radical responsibility for those patterns because I was an adult at this point, still perpetrating the kind of pressure and expectations that were put on me 20 years ago. So I had to take full responsibility also for those patterns, especially once I saw where they were coming from. I saw how clearly they were hurting me. I had to take responsibility for those patterns as well. The second thing I had to do for, like I said, in my case, it was a low self-worth. And I think if you resonate with overworking, overgiving, overcommitting, over-delivering, doing the most in return for the least, you will probably resonate also with the fact that that's actually coming from low self-worth. And so the second thing that I had to do was I vowed to myself, Anna, first of all, I'm shocked that we have such low self-esteem because that's the thing. That's why it's called the matrix, because we're stuck in this vicious cycle and in these patterns. We don't even realize that we're hurting ourselves, and we don't even realize that it's coming from a root cause of low self-worth. So once I realized that, I was like, I don't know how to work on my self-worth. I don't even know like if it's possible, but I was like, I am committed to finding out how to grow my self-worth because I'm committed to never allowing abuse like this to happen to me again. I'm committing to never allowing myself to put myself in situations and places that don't value the magic, the genius that I bring every day, period. And I realized so many things that I wasn't experiencing in my life were a result of low self-worth. So because I didn't feel worthy, I didn't allow myself to relax. I didn't allow myself to indulge in things. There used to be a time when I didn't, get my hair professionally done. I didn't get my luxury facials. I didn't have my nice items that I really like or my high-end makeup or skincare. I just I just thought I didn't need that, but really it was, I don't think I deserve that. And basically, ultimately, my low self-worth kept me enslaved. It kept me enslaved to my workplace, right? Because I thought this was all I was worthy of. It kept me enslaved to that salary for years, which was already too low. And then I didn't get any raises throughout the years. Spoiler alert, like I said, when I was leaving there, they were throwing money at me. It was actually pretty funny. So they always had the money. They just didn't give it to me because they knew I would stay. How did they know I would stay? Because that's what I continued to do every time they dangled the carrot and then took it away from me and were like, oh, we're so sorry, there's no budget. So, yeah, so I was enslaved. And so what I was lacking was freedom. Freedom to feel good. Freedom to not be a slave to my own childhood wounds and patterns and compulsions. Freedom to not seek that external validation. Freedom to not tie my worth to my productivity and my achievements. So I was determined to work on my self-worth. And so there were many things that I started to experiment with, and there's many things that you could do to work on your self-worth if you're resonating with this. But what I want to share with you today is the one thing that made the biggest difference in my life that dramatically changed my brain, literally, because it's a science-based program that rewires your brain away from those trauma survival responses, especially for those hyper masculine, hyper independent, hyper controlling, hyper achieving tendencies that I had, into this more balanced approach where you're still using your masculine strengths, but you're balancing them with more flow, with more ease, and less pressure, stress, urgency. You can see how stressful that is. A lot of times, it wasn't really the work that made me exhausted and burnt out and sick at work. It was all the mental chatter that was happening. It was me pushing myself, me never feeling good enough, me getting emotionally triggered by an email because of my low self-worth. I would take one email and take that as evidence that someone doesn't value me, and then I would be triggered all day, or worse, I would get a migraine for 3 days. And so the program that I'm talking about is called Positive Intelligence. It comes from Stanford University and it was created by Shirzad Shamin, who I hope to meet one day. And he had developed this based on research from all over the world, working specifically with elite athletes and CEOs and other people who really need to balance high performance with well-being. These are people who have to feel good, have good health in order to operate at these really high elite, high stress situations. And so the reason why this program helped me so much is because it got to the root cause of where my patterns were coming from, because it looks at the different ways that you sabotage and helps you deeply understand and name those parts of you. And it helped me get rid of the main reason why my self-worth was low, which was my inner voice. Specifically, this was my inner critic, that negative self-talk, that vicious voice inside your head that's always saying, you're not good enough, do more, do faster, push harder, you're gonna get fired, you ain't shit. That voice that downplays all your achievements and exaggerates any shortcomings. And quite frankly, when I did this program, I realized that I have been actually hateful, especially when it comes to my body, my standards for how much I'm supposed to weigh, obsessively looking at calories. That was another way that masculine workhorse tendency presented itself in me. It's that need for control. It's that need to be perfect in order to be accepted and loved. It showed up in all areas of my life. And this program illuminated that for me, and it gave me the tools and trained me to release those pathways and to create new neural pathways, these new neural pathways that aren't in that autopilot. Because in autopilot, I would have kept doing those same things. I would have kept reacting the same way. I would have kept making decisions in the same way. But it changed my brain, and it's based on neuroimaging studies where you can actually look at your brain, where there are parts of your brain that where the blood flows, you're in survival mode. in the amygdala back here, the most primitive part of the human brain. And if all the blood goes back there because you're feeling triggered, because you're hypervigilant, because you have this negative self chatter that's increasing your stress and anxiety 24/7, the blood can't go to the prefrontal cortex. This is where creativity, compassion, complex problem solving goes. This is where the goddess really lives, right? The workhorse operates from that survival mode. A goddess operates from abundance, safety, groundedness. And, it's not like I was like, when I was in my career hell and my PCOS hell, I was like, oh, I want to be a goddess. No, I first, like I said, I didn't even realize how bad I felt until I started rewiring my brain and I started realizing how much of that negative voice wasn't even mine. It belonged to other people from my past. But I was taking it as my own and I was taking it as truth. And self-awareness is so powerful. Once I started realizing that, I could let that go and not listen to it and build a voice that celebrates me, which is crazy. I used to be that person who used to just go from one achievement to the next, gloss over, not even get joy or satisfaction from reaching a goal. I was already on to the next. Let me know if you can relate with that. So, anyway, this positive intelligence program really changed my life. I did it back in 2021 when I was still in the corporate world, and it was so life-changing for me. In fact, my boss at the time, not the shitty one, this one was an amazing boss, and he's still my mentor. He was like, Anna, you've always been a superstar, but you're on a whole new level now. What are you doing differently? Like, he noticed the change in me because, as you climb the ranks, like, it's not just what you bring to work from the form of execution and deliverables. Your energy, your like personality, your way of being, how your energy impacts everyone else plays a bigger and bigger role the higher you climb the ranks in any role, any business, any industry. If you're a business owner, if you're still in corporate, you know that your energy impacts everyone around you and impacts results. And so he noticed the change in me, and actually, that company paid for me to get certified in positive intelligence. And I started offering it to ambitious women. And from there, I think by now, I think I've taken about 80 people through the positive intelligence program. And it's one of my favorite things to do because I basically get to meet brilliant women with big hearts, big brains, big dreams, and help them to achieve 10 times more while feeling 10 times better. Because that's the biggest scam that if you relate to being a workhorse, the biggest scam you've fallen into is that you have to suffer for success. You have to sacrifice. You have to be in pain, no gain. And I have learned now on the other side of that, that is not true. If I were stressed, I could not show up like I do for you guys on YouTube. If I were burnt out, I could not show up the way I do powerfully in my one-on-one sessions, in my group sessions, like the Positive Intelligence with Anna program. If I were beating myself up all the time, I would not have created the programs that I created, like my Magnetic Branding Academy, like my Goddess Academy, like my Career Slayer Boot Camp. Once I eliminated that inner critic, I was finally free. I was finally free to do things more effortlessly with more peace. Instead of having so much panic as I'm working and overwhelm, I actually get joy and fulfillment and satisfaction. Nowadays, when I feel that my energy has run out, instead of pushing through, I stop my workday and I say, we'll get back at it tomorrow. When I wake up, I'm not panicked that I'm behind. I do a slow morning routine, support myself. I journal. I eat my delicious breakfast, have a couple cups of my favorite black hot tea with lemon and honey. And then also when I go to sleep at night, instead of ruminating and worrying and replaying conversations or rehearsing for tomorrow, I go to sleep, honestly, so many days feeling so proud of myself. And this is so new to me. And that is what a goddess does, right? A goddess lives a beautiful life that where she can take care of herself. She's abundant and she blesses the world with her gifts, with her blessings. And that's actually I just remembered, I don't think I would have been doing this work full time as I am right now if I hadn't done positive intelligence in 2021. Okay? I would have been too nervous. I would have chosen the safe path. Like I said, I was like I was a career queen at that point. I had my corporate throne at that point. I shot up to the top after I let go of the workhorse tendencies. And I don't think I would have had the confidence and the groundedness to go all in on me. And that's what a goddess does, right? A goddess is fully free to be herself and express herself and to create what she wants, to build what she wants, to create the lifestyle of her dreams. I feel so blessed that I don't have to wake up with an alarm clock. I can decide, like my Mondays, like today's a Monday, I don't have any calls. It's just me and creativity and going through the day more leisurely. I can decide, like this month, within the last month, I'm blocked 2 weeks off because we're traveling to Florida with my husband. And so I really enjoy that I'm building this business around my self-care, around my health, as opposed to in the past where I was destroying my health for my career. And so all this to say is if you are resonating with this, if you are tired of being this exhausted, burnt out masculine machine and workhorse, and you're seeing that it's not giving you the success you want, and it's also destroying you in the process. I invite you to really, really pause and reflect and decide whether you want to keep going down that vicious cycle, that hamster wheel, quite frankly, which goes nowhere, or if you want to choose the audacity to change how you're working, how you're living, how you're speaking to yourself, how you're making decisions for yourself. And if I've piqued your curiosity and you would like more information about my positive intelligence program, in my program, it's only for women and it's an intimate group. It's not some cattle call program with hundreds of people where you're just a number. I max it out at 15 ladies, and you go through this scientifically proven system. Only 10 minutes a day, you're rewiring your brain so that, like I said, you can achieve more and feel better, okay? Because success is not success if you feel like shit, period. I do have a cohort opening up on July 11th, 2025, but that one is filling up fast. So depending on when you are seeing this video, there may or may not be spots available for that. If I hear from you in time, you can join the July 2025 cohort, but if not, in the link, you'll see a wait list so you can sign up and be notified the next time I open doors for Positive Intelligence with Anna. One last thing I want to say is yes, just because you are a workhorse now does not mean that you're not a goddess. I actually believe all women are goddesses. It's just the societal programming, conditioning, and trauma, and all these things, and toxic hustle culture that bury that goddess within us, that divine feminine. And so that's already within you. Okay, yes, you might have some of these tendencies that cause you to make yourself suffer in the name of success. But I promise you that goddess is in you. If you're feeling like that resonates with you, she's already there. And I believe it's just a matter of time before you let her fully blossom and start running your life more. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.